Well, this morning we're going to start a series on what our next steps are as a church. By the next steps, I mean looking at what our vision is going to be. We're going to be discussing how to do a vision. Let me see if it's the other way. There we go. We're going to be discussing the beginning steps of a vision, basically what I'm going to be doing, what I'm going to be asking you all to be doing, so that we can all be on the same sheet of music. We're going to be starting off in the book of Nehemiah, chapter 1, verses 1 through 4. Nehemiah, chapter 1, verses 1 through 4. This is an excellent book to look at, to study when a new church starts, or a church plant, or you're just not sure where to go. This is an excellent book to look at because it gives us steps in vision. It gives us steps in how the Lord talks to you and lets you know what you need to be doing. And I think we're still a little loud. And being able to see how God is leading. And that's what we're going into right now. What are our next steps as a church going down the road? It's not done and should not be done as done in many churches. Is that better? Okay. This gives us some initial starting points right here in the first 4 verses. It says, the words of Nehemiah, the son of Hakaliah. Now it happened in the month of Kislev, in the 12th year, as I was in Susa, the citadel, that Hanani, one of my brothers, came with certain men from Judah. And I asked them concerning the Jews who had escaped, who had survived the exile, concerning Jerusalem. And they said to me, the remnant there in the province who had survived the exile is in great trouble and shame. The wall of Jerusalem is broken down, and its gates are destroyed by fire. As soon as I heard these words, I sat down and wept and mourned for days, and I continued fasting and praying before the God of heaven. So this morning we're essentially going to be looking at 5 steps of preparation. A lot of these I will be going through probably for the next month, 2 months, maybe even 3 months. It's going to be a long process. It's something that we're going to be looking at wholeheartedly across the board, starting the 1st of next year. The first thing we're going to be looking at is collecting info, collecting information. The second thing is not to be content with where we're at right now. I think if I counted right, we've probably got about 17 or 18 here this morning. I'm not happy with that. I want us to fill the building. Okay? The third thing is fasting. The fourth thing is prayer. And then the fifth thing is waiting on the Lord. Now let's go back to Scripture real quick, and we'll discuss each of these points. The first one, collecting information. The words of Nehemiah, the son of Hakaliah. Now it happened in the month of Kislev, in the 12th year, as I was in Susa, the citadel, that Hanani, one of my brothers, came with certain men from Judah. And I asked them, here we go, I asked him concerning the Jews who had escaped, who had survived the exile, and concerning Jerusalem. He asked questions. He asked questions about the remaining Jews, and he asked questions on how Jerusalem was holding up. And they said to me, the remnant there in the province, who has survived the exile, is in great trouble and shame. The wall of Jerusalem is broken down, and its gates are destroyed by fire. One of the first things he did was ask questions. There's many questions. We're going to be doing surveys. We're going to be doing surveys within the church, you and me. We're going to be doing surveys, spot surveys, in the community. For example, do you go to church? If yes, survey's done. If no, why not? Have you had issues with the church in the past? Do you just not go? Are you too busy to go on Sunday mornings? What other day would be better? Questions along that line. How many kids do you have in the household? We'll be going to Walmart doing a survey. Do you go to church? Somewhat similar. If not, why not? And the surprising thing is, we may just take a Sunday morning off and do this as our service. Where we'll meet at Walmart in the parking lot, and we'll just be able to very kindly, quickly speak to people, ask questions of them, and then that's it. We're not going to hold them up. We're not going to disturb their shopping effort, their spend. I tell you what, we were in Sam's yesterday. Guess what Sam's has up already? Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. They don't have the trees up, but they got some Christmas stuff up. But the first thing we're going to do is gather information. And then there's information from you guys. What would you like to see the church do? Where would you like to see the church to go? And I'll even ask some personal stuff. Do you enjoy what's being preached? What would you rather hear? What would you rather do on Sunday night or Wednesday? Are there any changes that you recommend? And tell me. I'm not the great guru. I want to know what your opinions are. And then we'll go from there. But the first thing Nehemiah did was collect information. The second thing, he was not content. Verse 4. And as soon as he heard these words, as soon as I heard these words, I sat down and wept and mourned. It broke his heart what he heard about the surviving remaining Jews, about the condition of Jerusalem, the walls being torn down, the gates being burned. Jerusalem had no way to protect itself. That's why he was concerned. For us, we need not be content. We need to start asking God to spark us, to set us on fire. Folks, it's all of us. It's not just me. It's not just one other person. It is all of our responsibility to make efforts at bringing people to the Lord. All of our responsibility. I don't care how old you are. Elena can bring someone to church. Aislinn, I don't know where she's at back there, but she was back there, can bring people to church. Now, we'll give Danny and Michaela and Allie a break because they are a little young. But guess what, folks? Everybody else, we are going to be responsible for bringing folks to the Lord and into the church. Regardless of what happens in the next 3 months, we're going to be setting up some goals that we are going to make honest efforts at reaching. The New Testament says, go and make disciples. It doesn't say who. It doesn't say where. It says, go and make disciples. To Samaria, Judea, to the uttermost parts of the earth. I think we need to start at home. That's where that verse started. We have friends, we have neighbors, we have co-workers that aren't saved, that aren't going to church. Now, by all means, if they're going to church, praise the Lord. Tell them that. But if they're not going to church, and you've talked to them and you know they're not saved, that should set off a Kmart blue light special light in your head. That is an object of God's love. We need to be reaching that person. Maybe not only Mary Beth, who has a friend that lives around the corner, but Mary Beth can give me the information. Pastor Mike, I've talked to this person. They are so close. Would you mind going to see them? No. I would love to. It would take some logistics, but I think I can work that out. Give me a phone number. Give me a VP number. I'll call them up. Hey, you want to meet me at Whataburger and Kyle? I want to buy you a cup of coffee. I want to buy you a Coke. Because you know, most houses, I have issues getting in. But I don't know of too many people that will turn down a cup of coffee, a Coke, or a breakfast, or a lunch. And I'll be more than happy to pay it to be able to get people into church. I will. And you know, if they come to the Lord and they come to church, 3 things have happened. You have had success spreading the seed in the water. We as a church have had success because we've been praying for this person. That's another reason to give me the information. We're going to start a new column on our prayer list. And the third thing, when the person's saved, now this is another logistical issue, getting them baptized. Obviously, at this point, I cannot crawl in and out of the baptism. I may have to work it out with somebody. But the church will grow. And I'm telling you right now, you can't just go to one person and stop. Because it says go. It doesn't say go until you reach one person and you're happy, I'm satisfied, that's it. That's not what it says. We're going to be setting up some personal goals for next year. Right now we have, let's say for checks and grins, conversation's sake, we have 20 people. Let's say at the beginning of next year we set up personal goals because this works in our individual lives too. It's not just for the corporate body of the church, but it's for individuals. What part of you is broken down? Go to the Lord. He can help you fix whatever's broken. And believe me, there's a lot of us that are broken. Even the most little bit that's causing distraction. being honest with yourself. Collect information. How many people have I led to the Lord last year? How many people have I talked to about the Lord last year? How many people have I invited last year? You see, if we had 20 people here today, and all 20 of us made a commitment to reach 5 people next year, how many people would we have in church by the end of the year? Somebody tell me. 100. Wouldn't that be awesome? I don't care if they're deaf or hearing. We all need the Lord. I'm more than happy to go either way. I, for lack of better words, I can switch. I can go to a hearing person and talk to them. I can go to a deaf person and talk to them. It don't matter. And that's the same way with some of you guys. And her. It's the same way. Next thing is fasting. I am eating a lot less than what I used to these days after the stroke. Ask her, ask Jesse. I don't need half as much as I used to, which is good. Because when I got weighed the other day at the doctor's office before the stroke, I weighed about 225 pounds. Last week I went to the doctor's office, I weighed 201. And probably way less today. But I plan on doing some fasting. Now, the first thing I'm going to hear is, I can't go 24 hours without eating. This is true. What's the purpose of fasting? It's not to starve yourself to death. It's not a weight loss program. It's the time that you can focus between you and the Lord. A time that you can be in Scripture, reading, and praying. Now, for some of us, eating meals are a huge distraction. But for others of us, the bigger distraction is TV. Maybe the internet. Maybe Facebook. Maybe the video phone. Maybe something else that's keeping us from being able to have a continuous time with the Lord. I'm not talking 15 minutes. I'm talking a sacrifice. For some of us, that sacrifice may start for an hour. This week, on Thursday, I'm going to commit to fasting for an hour. I'm not going to watch TV for that hour. I'm going to focus on God. I'm going to focus on my relationship. I'm going to focus on bettering my life in Jesus Christ. That's what I'm going to do to fast. Now, don't come being a braggart. Don't brag about it. Keep it between you and the Lord. If you want to share with me for prayer, Pastor Mike, I want to try fasting this week for an hour. Would you pray for me? That's great. But I don't want you to follow up and say, Pastor Mike, I failed. I only made it 5 minutes and fell asleep. I don't want to know that. All I want to know is that you're making an attempt. And don't quit at that attempt. If you don't make it this week, try it again next week. Eventually, you'll make that hour. And then what I would like for you to do is to come back to me and say, Pastor Mike, pray for me. Next week I'm going to try it for 2 hours. Now, eventually, yes, I would like to see you up to a day. But for some, that's going to take some discipline. It's going to take some hard work. It's going to take hard work for me. Because one thing I can give up right now is what? Netflix. Seriously. I'll sit in my office and I'll watch Netflix all day. Ask them. I was told last night, Jesse and Nathan can't even hear the TV because you got your computer up so high. I'm listening to music. 70s music. I like 70s music. But I had to turn it down. I actually turned it off. But I actually need to spend more time now preparing for what God has for us to come. Folks, you have time that you need to use to prepare for what God is coming for you. And you know we're going to have invitations at the end of service. I want to see you put faith or put footsteps to your faith. Prayer. Yes, fasting includes prayer, but this is just normal, everyday prayer. Serving, personal. How much do I pray every day? 100% heart-involved, mind-engaged prayer. I'm not talking about the simple prayers. Father, thank you for this food. In your name we pray. Amen. I'm talking wholeheartedly, 100% prayer that would involve the 5 things in prayer. And we're going to talk about those down the road. Thanking God, intercession, praying for other people, praying for ourselves, glorifying God. We'll go through those in a couple weeks. But see, folks, we actively need to become true Christians. Some of us have this much to do. Some of us have this much to do. It doesn't matter how much you have to do. Just do it. And then the hardest part. Wait. Waiting on God. Waiting on God to answer your prayers. Waiting on God to lead you. Because you may spend the next 3 months consistently praying the same thing. That's okay. Nehemiah prayed, Lord, what are we to do? What about my brethren, the fellow Jews? What about the walls of Jerusalem? What do you want me to do about those? What do you want me to plan for those? Folks, we've got a lot to pray for. Let alone the Wednesday night prayer list that we have. But we've got a lot to pray for. We've got a lot to do within the next 3 months and to be carried over the next year. We have a lot to do. This is not going to be a time for us to sit down. I may call you up. Hey, Tony, what are you doing tomorrow afternoon? There's a deaf person in the hospital that I'd like to visit. You want to go with me? No.